Bored with a life of inherited wealth, a millionaire takes a bet that he can't live for 1 year without leaning on his wealth. In the 1936 romantic comedy, The Amazing Quest of Earnest Bliss. And that's the movie we're dusting off this week on Movie Bones.
What do you think's the matter with you?
I don't know. That's why I came to see you. I can't eat, I can't sleep. I'm nervous. I never do anything, and I'm always tired.
Yeah. Well, just take off your shirt and lie down on that couch. There's nothing wrong with your blood pressure. Your muscles are a bit flabby, but your heart's quite sound.
Well, then what's the matter with me?
Money.
Money? That's not an illness.
In your case, it's a disease. Most people break down through overwork. Yours is caused by self-indulgence.
Really? Is that so?
My advice should be worth £50,000 to you.
I suppose I'm getting a bargain for 20, eh?
Certainly, if you take it.
What makes you think I wouldn't?
No patient of mine in Harley Street ever has. Disappear for a time. Earn your own living. Live on a few pounds a week if you can make them. If not, go hungry. Do that for a year, and I guarantee it'll make you fit.
That's rather a tall order.
Of course, a certain amount of moral stamina will be needed.
You know what I figured out after watching this movie, Ryan, is that, all my problems can be solved with money. It didn't seem like the movie was going to go there, but that's what it was saying. And we'll get into that specifics and details, but here's a bit of advice if you're going to name your movie. First of all, try to arrange that the British version and the American version actually have the same title, because I looked this up as The Amazing Adventure, which is remarkably bland. But apparently the original title from England was, The Amazing Quest of Earnest Bliss, and which is a little bit more specific. And it's like, well, that's a little bit better, but it still doesn't eliminate entirely the problem because it still has the word amazing in it. And 99% of the time, if you are calling your something the amazing, it just can't live up to the hype. And I'm sorry, this one just really, really does not live up to the hype, does it?
There's just nothing amazing about this. There's this funny kind of like internet joke, something that is just plays off of other things as well. But like when you think about this guy being bored because he's got, he's so well off and everything. There's this internet joke that I just love now. And every time someone's like going through something that's basically good and they're complaining about it, people will respond with something like, "Oh no, my steak is too juicy and my lobster's too buttery." And it's like, "Oh, darn it. I hate that for you." And you're like, come on now. This movie takes place in the middle of the Great Depression. You are feeling the ramifications of it. And it's a bored rich guy. And you're telling, and I did see that actually, like, one of the things that they tried to push this movie on, hey, poor working class, it's actually pretty okay to be the poor working class.
Yes. And it's kind of like, it's like, I almost imagine that if food wasn't already a hard to come by item in the Great Depression for so many people, that they'd be throwing tomatoes at the screen. It's like a slap in the face. If you're poor, it's like, oh, cry me a river. He's bored. I'm starving over here. I don't have a shelter over my head. I haven't worked in years. And you're telling me it's like, oh, like you said, first world problems. Like, oh, you poor millionaire, you. It's like in the Roaring 20s, you might have gotten away with it a little bit more, and it's like, that's where you have to be really careful when you have these subjects in times. Well, anytime you have a message like this, it's just a bad message, but it's like, it's especially ingratiating when times are really hard for so many people. It's like, this is just a slap in the face, dude.
And that's what this movie is. It's one big slap in the face.
And the thing is that, okay, maybe you could almost see a way around it in some circumstances. There's a movie from the 80s called Brewster's Millions, which is also was a remake of a film that was made like in the 40s and 50s. Maybe we can look that up sometime. Yeah. I'm not too enthusiastic about looking. It didn't look too good when I saw that, but the original, that is. But the remake in the 80s with Richard Pryor in it, basically the idea of a guy, as a poor guy who inherits a ton of money. He will inherit billions if, stipulation, if he can spend $1 million within the course of a month and lose all of its value. In other words, he can't buy anything of value with it. He has to actually lose value, the whole $1 million. And that's part of the contraction. He can't tell anybody about it. And it's interesting, first of all, because he is a poor schlub, and there's all these other rules to the game. Where in this case, it's like you say, he's already wealthy. And the thing is, the rules he sets for himself, he can only spend money for others' benefit. But he uses that as a loophole, too, to get out of his problems, because the first thing he goes to is a stove maker. He's a terrible salesman, but instead of trying to work hard to become a better salesman, he just kind of buys floor space at a convention because it's not for him, right? It's for the owner. And he sets up a whole schmear where it's like he's inviting big investors and stuff. And that makes the stove owner successful. And so it's like, well, that's just cheating. And so he makes it easy on himself with his money. It's like, well, no story should do this. It's like you're taking away all the interest, aside from the moral aspects of it. You're taking all the difficulty out of the story for the main character, and that's just like that's just like an unforgivable sin, dude. Story wise,
this makes stories like Kind Hearts and Cornets much better stories. Because we get to see the depravity of it all. And I do think there's something that's like, if your life revolves around money, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. I want to make that very clear. Like, you can make an argument, I don't know, maybe, like, Carey Grant's character doesn't come across as, like, a horrible person in this movie, but, it's like, we have good movies, like Kind Hearts and Cornets. I'm thinking about Alec Guinness's actual roles now. But, like, where the main character in that movie is trying to become the Duke. And yes, that's a title, but really and ultimately it also means how much money he's going to have as well. Then you've got, again, another Alec Guinness movie. Where are you at? Because I'm trying to remember the name of that one. The one that you really like. The one where he's a bad guy and he looks weird.
Oh, yeah.
Lady Killers.
Lady Killers, yeah.
The Lady Killers. Wanting to keep that money and all that stuff, what that does to them. See, I think that just makes those kind of stories better, where it shows like how money can make you depraved, how it can destroy you. And this guy gets to exist comfortably in the world. No matter what, he's going to get to keep his millions.
Yeah.
There's no fear of that in this whole entire movie.
He's never been put in a position where he's uncomfortable. Never really.
The only time that he's like, I've got to do differently is at the end of the movie, where the girl that he's in love with, and I know that you're going to want to really talk about that in a moment. That's like his only big struggle really in the movie is like, I've got to come clean for the girl I want to marry. I didn't feel for the guy. I didn't oh darn it. Like he's just being a rich dude who's playing poor and trying to be a nice guy about it. Like, good job, dude.
And there's really nothing about that confession either that was. Like, remember I told you about Brewster's Millions? There was an actual stipulation he couldn't talk about it without losing the overall bargain. That was stipulated. In this, there is no such condition. He didn't have to wait until that moment to do it. And the woman, and here's the other thing. It's like usually the woman is the love interest in a movie like this. If the man's wealthy, she's going to portray the opposite. Except there's a lot of points where she presents herself as just being as interested in mammon type stuff as he is. Now, she has a sister who's sick. We don't find that out until conveniently it's just thrown in there. We don't never see the sister. We never realize this is a thing. It's even a thing until very late in the film. And it's like, it's just kind of thrown in there as an extra kind of plot twist. So she still cares about something other than herself. But before that, all we're given is, basically she wants to have all these things. She likes nice dresses. And I guess it's to give Carey Grant the impression that, it's like maybe she's not interested in the right things, but neither are you, dude. It's like, have you looked in the mirror?
Yeah.
It's like, and I just don't understand these perspectives and why they have them. And because you put these two people together, they're just not interesting. There's nothing there in the material wise to really think about them very much in terms of depth anyway.
Like, he comes to her at the very end of the movie. I'm trying to remember what she says. Like, she's, her head's down and everything. So he's like, I want to introduce you to my wife.
Yes.
And her head's down, and he's like, what's wrong, dear? And then what does she say? She says something like, she kind of alludes to being like a, fairy tale princess and everything.
Yeah. All my dreams have come true. Or something like that.
Kind of like, well, like, dang. And also, too, like, another thing as well, and maybe this is sign of the times. I don't know. But like the guy that she was potentially going to marry, like we look at him and we put him next to like Carey Grant, and there's a stark difference. He's a short old guy, and like Carey Grant is like a tall, devilishly handsome guy.
Carey Grant.
And he's Carey Grant.
Also makes me think of something else I want to bring up. I don't want to forget about it, but yeah, go ahead.
But it's just like, there's no believability to that. Like, yes, we know that there are people out there in the world that exist today, men and women alike, who marry someone 100% for their money. Yes. We know that. That's a thing that does totally happen. And that's how this guy propositions her to marry him, is like, hey, I can take care of your sister, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, it just feels so unbelievable. It's like, okay, really? And it's like, and if that is the case, in any other movie rom-com that happens in this day and age, I am here to tell you folks that the big reveal of the movie would be, oh, the other girl that's over here was actually the love interest or the person you felt were falling in love with the whole entire time.
Yeah.
Which, you know what does a better job of that?
What's that?
All right. I know it sounds weird. I'll tell you what does a better job of doing something like that, doing what I just said. Talladega Nights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby.
I haven't seen that, but
he gets really good at NASCAR. He falls in love with this woman. She's a gold digger. That's what she is. And then, like, at the end of the movie, he's trying to win everyone back. And it's the girl that's his assistant, who's also played by the amazing Amy Adams. But it's the girl that his assistant, that he's like, that it finally reveals is like, oh, she's the one that's loved you the whole entire time. And
yes,
then
that's a trope into itself.
They become a relationship. That trope should exist in a movie like this. This is not something that should, like, it should not be, oh, she wants your money and that's it. And, but she now knows that you are rich. And so she's able to fall in love with you. That does not make for a good rom-com. No. And if you're going to build yourself as a rom-com, you should not do that.
No. And the thing is, it's like, she gets to have everything she hoped to get out of the older guy, but with Carey Grant instead. It's like, well, of course, it's the biggest duh. It's if you're after that kind of shallow thing. It's like you get the guy, you get the money, and you get a young, handsome, you get Carey Grant at the prime of his life. Which, by the way, another note on believability here. Because, like I said, everything seems to be handed to him even after he, quote unquote, gives up his money. So Carey Grant walks into the stove maker's establishment. He's all smooth Carey Grantish, he's doing his Carey Grant smoothness. He's still wearing his like wealthy clothes, okay? He says, why should I hire you over these 27 other candidates I've been interviewing? And it's like, because I'm desperate. And you look at the guy, it's like he's dressed to the nines. He doesn't have a stain on him. He's Carey freaking Grant. He's smooth talking. He's clearly educated. And he's desperate. And the guy buys it without a question. I'm sitting there as like, are you freaking kidding me? I'm flabbergasted.
This movie is making Justin defend Carey Grant. And when he's not, like, he doesn't hate the guy, but he's not particularly a fan of Carey Grant.
I'm not a super fan of Carey Grant or something.
Do you understand what this movie is doing to us?
He's making me defend Carey Grant as like he's some great. It's like, except, well, I'm probably. I don't know if you take it as a compliment or not, because I'm pretty much defending him as kind of eye candy, and smoothness, which is not the greatest thing, which is fine. But yeah.
But it's just like that's the story we have before us. And that's,
oh man.
Well, I have something that I want to bring up about this movie.
Sure.
The wipes or the swipes in this movie.
Oh, yes, the wipes. George Lucas ain't got nothing on this guy. He's got nothing.
This movie just goes out of its way every single time the scene turns or the scene is the scene changes. And even sometimes, like, it doesn't feel like the scene really changed all that much.
No.
Like, you just get one of those, like, you get one of the... PowerPoint would have loved this movie back in the day. Like, PowerPoint would have... Microsoft would have bought this movie just to advertise what PowerPoint can do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like someone found... It's like, if you ever get, like, a piece of software that's, that can do so many things, People
Mhm.
in back in the day used to say Photoshop. People, that guy just got Photoshop. You know why? Because he uses filters without thinking, and it's like that's what it feels like. It's like he got his copy of Adobe Premiere, which is the video editing suite, and is like, oh, and he found where all the wipes are. Oh, I can see where the director he found where the wipe filters are. He's going to use every single one of them over and over again, distractingly so. It's not such a great cinematic tool. It really is a gimmick, for in most cases. Star Wars got lucky by using its wipes, and it pretty much it didn't use like the fancy X wipes or the shade or the blinds wipes. It pretty much went left to right or up to down, which is still kind of,
I mean,
yeah.
it was strategic, where in this movie, it did not feel strategic. Like, that's the thing. Like, with George Lucas, you could make that, you could make that argument that, like, it was a strategic way of doing it. And, like, okay, cool, I get that. But in this movie, it didn't. And yes, of course, you could, again, it's like, well, they're testing things out. This is like an early talkie. So you are, and it is an early talkie if you, by
You think about it,
definition, I
yeah,
guess
it's
by definition.
close.
But it's just kind of like, you just like, give it a rest, man. You don't have to do it every single time.
And there's also the thing I noticed that that even when he gets he gets a job as a chauffeur and with a chauffeur company, and he gets into an accident with somebody else, which you think might be a problem for a lot of people to overcome. It just how happens that the plot has him run into a friend of his who's very forgiving. Well, that's easy enough, It's like
Yeah.
money didn't get him out of that one. That was the plot. That was plot contrivance getting him out of it in that case. But he buys the chauffeur company from the owner of the chauffeur company just so he can improve conditions. But again, I don't know how that doesn't violate the same rules. Again, he's solving all of his own problems again. So there's so many instances of that.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the one. It was all the time.
Yeah.
So
This is a rich man's movie about what it means to be poor from the eyes of a rich man who, has never really done, like, it just feels like a pat on the back to the rich. Like, look how good of a person I am. And it's like, okay, all right now. Like, come on, get over yourself a little bit.
you could show this as part of a double feature with this and Beyond Christmas.
Man, that is our staple movie at this point.
It's the nexus of all film,
Yeah.
and no one realized it until we uncovered it. It could be Movie Bone's greatest discovery to date, folks, is that Beyond Christmas is actually the nexus of all cinema. and
If I can, I will figure out a way to connect Beyond Christmas to like one of the Oscar-winning movies that have happened in the past 5 years. If I can do that,
I just imagine
Well, no.
now Ryan's going to be in his basement with a pin board and red string and all these images and stuff of movies, putting it all together. It's like
Yeah.
like Fox Mulder in the X-Files.
Yep.
Oh man, yeah. Good luck to you on that. It's like yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good grief. So it's time, I think, to wrap it up. So this for me is like, this is a don't look at it. I struggled to try and think of even one thing that would make it like, at least I got that out of it. I can't even say that. It's just empty, but it's not really truly what I would call super offensive. Morals is just kind of like, yeah, it's upside down, greed is, it's upside down kind of stuff, but I didn't get in a twist about it, so it's not kill it with fire either. So I'm at don't look at it. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. So the in my personal opinion, the redeeming quality of this movie is really actually Carey Grant. I would say early on in his career, it feels like it's early in his career. You can kind of see that mystique that he gets from this. It's not just his, it's handsomeness. He is a handsome dude. I want to make that clear. But that, like, he's got a very iconic voice. He is very charismatic in his own way. But however, this is what I get. If you are a person that just truly wants to go and watch all of Cary Grant's films, then you watch this movie. But if you're just a person that likes Cary Grant, there are better Cary Grant movies. There's just miles and miles better Cary Grant movies. You don't need to look at this one. So yeah, I also agree. Don't look at it. This is not to me a situation either where it's like kill it with fire. In fact, I think I would give it a little bit more respect if it was kill it with fire. I know that sounds crazy.
Made you feel something.
Like, this is a movie. I'll tell you this. This movie is forgettable to me. My memory is already dumping this movie as we speak, and I hate that. Besides Cary Grant, I thought the acting was very wooden. It just really felt like people were reading off of cue cards somewhere. And the only other thing that I found funny was the fight scene. And if you wanted to just go find that fight scene online somewhere.
Oh, please, yeah.
But other than that, it's just a ridiculous movie. Not ridiculous. It's a forgettable movie. You don't need to watch this movie to have a good time at all. So
Yeah. So there you have it, folks. It's pretty much a 1-star film. That at this time, we'd like to remind our listeners out there that if you're having a good time with Ryan and me dusting off these old movies in search of celluloid treasure, i.e. not this movie, please do like and subscribe, comment, and of course, follow us on your podcast purveyor of choice. Tell us what you think we got wrong. We're just only human anyway. You might think this is a great example of Carey Grant's career. Clue us in on a few titles you'd like us to see cover on future episodes, as long as they're available for free on sites like Tubi, because this adventure comes with no strings attached. And on the subject of future episodes, Ryan, what should people tune into next week to get ready for the next episode?
So YouTube says this: Leona Stevenson is sick and confined to her bed. One night, whilst waiting for her husband to return home, she picks up the phone and accidentally overhears a conversation between two men planning a murder. We've all been there. She becomes increasingly desperate as she tries to work out who the victim is so the crime can be prevented. I'm going to try to say this name's perfectly, or the first name correctly. This is starring Barbara Stanwyck. I'm pretty sure I got that right. Barbara Stanwyck, Burt Lancaster, Wendell Corey, Ed Begley, and Harold Vermilia. This is also directed by Anatole Litvak. Next week's film is Sorry, Wrong Number.
Yes. And if you remember Burt Lancaster, we last saw in a very different role. He played the German judge in the Nuremberg movie.
Yeah.
So he was in, and so, yeah, I have seen this but only just recently. Me and my family, we watched this for the first time, like just recently, and I had to nominate it. I'm not going to say the reasons why, because that might spoil something for Ryan, but we'll talk about it in depth next week. Okay, folks? So with that little teaser done, I can't think of anything else to say. So I guess the message is just keep following us, folks. And Ryan, I'll see you next week, and we'll see you next week, folks. Bye-bye, folks.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Let me go now. We're only making it worse.